the EGROW webinar series, which we do every Friday and which we started just before COVID had set in. And to give a brief introduction to EGROW Foundation, we are a research-based, policy research-oriented think tank located in NCR in Noida. We came into existence on October 31, 2018, though we had been thinking of this think tank for 6 years before we launched it in 2018. The purpose and objective of this think tank is very simple. We want to provide solid research-based policy advice to the government and other stakeholders whosoever are seeking good quality research. Our main area is policy domain, so we work on public policy. The issues that we work on are in agriculture, health, yes, on socioeconomic indicators like poverty, unemployment, monetary issues, fiscal policy, external sector, and then we also look into defense and also, most important thing, in geopolitics. Each of the verticals that I've mentioned are well represented on the board of the think tank, as well as the faculty support that we have in the think tank. We started the series, and I'm very happy to share this with you as COVID was setting in. We were worried that what type of policy advice will we be able to give? And that's why we thought we will shift to the webinar series under which we will get the best of best speakers from across the world on issues which are relevant for India and which are relevant for the global economy. I'm really happy to share with you. We have been blessed with that objective being fulfilled to the brim. We have had 3 Nobel laureates come and speak to us. We have done more than 230 webinars by now. We have also done for the G20 series on new international economic order. We started on women empowerment. Because of the commitments that we had, we could only do 6 against a target of 10, and we still think we'll do the remaining 4. And we also did on climate change. Again, we could only do 6 against the target of 10, and we still think we'll be able to do 4 more. But such contemporary issues keep coming up that sometimes we had to surrender some of the dates which we had initially earmarked. Right now, we are in the midst of another growth cycle. While the rest of the world is very happy looking at India growing at 7.2%, which is the highest, I somehow feel we can grow at 9 to 10%. Over the last 2 decades, there has been a phenomenon in our country. While we all look towards America, Europe, and other countries, learning lessons from them, the phenomena that happened in our country is extremely unique. Punjab, a state which was very prosperous, had the highest per capita income in 2000, started slipping down, and as if there is no bottom, is around 18 ranked based on PCI today. Other states have gone up like a rocket. Look at Telangana, Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat. They have just been improving their ranking and per capita income. So at EGROW, we thought, instead of always looking towards America, European countries, is there a lesson in our own country which we need to look at each other and learn from each other? For Punjab, we dedicated 5 webinars, about 16 people, about 10 hours, to understand where they went wrong, and we went granular. We looked into agriculture, industry, MSMEs, services, and overall public finance. And now we are going to dedicate 5 webinars to states which have gone up and done extremely well, to understand from them, within the same country, under the same regime, what is that made them do so well? Having tried to understand what went wrong in Punjab that made them do so badly. So with that objective in mind, we are now starting on a journey of 5 states. We are going to look at the success mantra of these 5 states. In this success mantra of the 5 states, we are going to look at Telangana today. We'll then look at Karnataka. We are going to look at Haryana, Tamil Nadu, and Gujarat. Today, we are looking at Telangana. Now, to take the session on Telangana, we specially invited friends and scholars from Telangana region, and we invited Professor Akina Venkateswarlu from, of course, he has worked at CES, and I'll give you a brief introduction of each of the speakers. And then we invited Professor Venkatanarayana Motkuri from, again, CES, and then Professor Koti Reddy from ICFA School of Social Sciences. Let me introduce the speakers and the chair, and then I hand over the session for the day to Professor Venkateswarlu. Professor Venkateswarlu received his double graduation, BSc and MBA and MA from Osmania University, Hyderabad. He got his MPhil and PhD degree from JNU, New Delhi. He taught for 16 years in government colleges of Telangana state and worked for about 7 years in the Center for Economic and Social Studies, CES, Hyderabad. He was ICSR Senior Fellow at CES. Since retirement from the government, he has been consultant at CES. He has 2 accredited books, 3 CES working papers, manuscripts, more than 30 papers published in journals and edited volumes. He presented a paper on participatory rural development, Pindi Prolu, an Indian village, at an international workshop at IIT, Japan. His recent books, Political Economy of Agriculture Development in India 2021, Political Economy of Controversies over the Origin of COVID-19 and its Impact on the World and India in 2023, and Economic Theory Crossing the Barriers in 2024, all 3 from Makar Books Delhi, have been very well received. Our second speaker for the day is going to be Professor Venkatanarayana Motkuri. Professor Motkuri is currently Associate Professor and Coordinator Research Cell on Education at Center for Economic and Social Studies, CES, Hyderabad. He was earlier working with Sudhir Commission on Muslims in Telangana and subsequently with Center for Good Governance. He is a postgraduate in education and holds an MPhil and PhD economics from JNU. He has diverse research experience of working for national, such as CES, CGG, NIR, DPR, ISB, IHD, CI, Sigma Consulting, and others, as well as international organizations like the World Bank, DFN, DFID, Oxford University, for different research studies and projects and consultancies. His experience includes working for various state governments and on education development in the states. The research projects he has been engaged with are supported by international organizations like UNICEF, along with those of state and central government departments in India. He was a member of expert subgroup on data definition and index of backwardness that was set up for Sudhir Commission on Muslims in Telangana. He has also published extensively in journals and edited volumes. Our third speaker for the day is Professor Tamma Reddy. He is a professor and ICFA School of Social Sciences, Hyderabad. He has 30 years of experience in teaching courses, managerial economics, macroeconomics and business environment, public finance, Indian economy, international business management, international finance and trade, issues in development and growth, public policy, etc. He is well known among the academic circles as a subject matter expert on Indian polity, economics and international finance. published research articles in national and international journals in the area of development economics. Dr. Koti Reddy was awarded the IBSAF Best Teacher Award 2013 and the NJ Yasvi Apollo Hospital's Best Teacher Award in 1670. He has chaired several international conferences and delivered keynote speeches on policies and issues pertaining to economics. He was deputed to Australia to handle graduate level international finance and trade course assignment for the students of MBA. Currently, he is the editor-in-chief of the IUP Journal of Applied Economics. With this brief introduction of all the three illustrious speakers who have worked on Telangana, I hand over the session to Professor Venkateswarlu to take the proceedings further. Professor Venkateswarlu, please.
Thank you, sir. Charan Singh ji. First of all, I am very happy to participate in a EGROW seminar series. I thank Professor Charan Singh ji for providing me the chance. I welcome my fellow panelists, Professor Koti Reddy garu and Dr. Venkatanarayana. I also welcome all the participants of this seminar. And here the work is divided among us three is that Professor Koti Reddy will deal with the public finance and Motkuri Venkatanarayana will deal with education, poverty and employment. And I want to, so that the entire idea of Telangana may come through my description below, and I am going to do this. An introduction, we can say that the purpose of this webinar is to know how newly formed state Telangana has shown better performance over Punjab, new AP and other states newly formed in 2000, yes. Telangana was formed on June 2nd, 2014. Although States Reorganization Committee 1955 recommended Telangana to be formed as a separate state, then political lobbying had made Telangana to be attached to Andhra state. And this Andhra state of originally it was responsible for the formation of States Reorganization Committee because in 1953, 11 districts separated from Madras Presidency were made as a separate Andhra. And at that time, States Reorganization Committee formed and its report came in 1955. Then Andhra state was merged with Telangana to form Andhra Pradesh with effect from November 1st, 1956. Since 1956, in Telangana, there was a discontentment that how the separate cultures and type of accents of Telugu speaking people can be combined and all these things. So first in 1956 itself, there was a struggle by the political leaders. But because of some lobbying of the Andhra politicians or Telangana politicians, this Telangana, separate Telangana recommended by SRC was merged with the Andhra state. The struggle of 1969 also there. The second struggle is the 1969 struggle, and it led to brutal killings of 400 students and youth of Telangana to suppress the movement. Again in 2001, third movement came after Sri K. Chandrasekhar Rao, Telangana Rashtra Samiti, the so-called TRS. The separate Telangana movement assumed new dimensions now. Then the ruling Congress party, to accomplish the promise made on December 9, 2009, resolved to form separate Telangana after all people's strike during 2011 for at least 50 days. And by that time, more than 1,000 suicides occurred this time. Not killings by the governments opposing that, but only suicides in the fear that separate Telangana would not be given. Some of the youth, they subjected to suicides, nearly 1,000. Because of that, Congress Working Committee decided on in July 2013 to form separate Telangana, and the same act was passed in February 2014, and the separate state was formed on June 2nd, 2014. And the 2000 struggle was formed or continued with three items of agenda. One is our Telangana water resources should be for our irrigation only. Telangana jobs and employment for Telangana people only. And funds of Telangana should be spent for Telangana development only. These are the three important items or agenda items on which TRS fought for a separate Telangana. So, as soon as New Telangana was formed, the Chief Minister KCR, having a vision of development, started irrigation projects for agricultural development, and with Telangana welfare schemes through Telangana funds were given to several schemes which are human development oriented. Of course, job creation in government sector was not as much as expected, but private employment opportunities increased. Now, we want to see how Telangana's performance in per capita income proceeded. In comparison with the separated AP, newly formed three states, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, and the well-performing states throughout 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, according to Professor K.L. Krishna, renowned Professor K.L. Krishna's working paper of 2004, Punjab assumed second or third ranks in 1970-71, 1981-82, and 1990-91. And Haryana assumed third or fourth ranks in per capita GSDP. Out of 28 comparable states now, Punjab in 2014-15 and 2021-22 assumed ranks of 12 and 13, whereas Haryana maintained its rank at third in both years. But Telangana, with ranks 11 and 6, is ahead of new Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Jharkhand, whereas Uttarakhand assumed fourth rank in 2014-15, but in 2012-21-22, it assumed eighth rank, less than that of Telangana. The Punjab was examined previously by EGROW for less performance in per capita, etc. Now it is our time to examine the causes that led to good performance in Telangana, a newly formed state. How GSDP and per capita GDP performed. In fact, Telangana has a share of 13.7% in gross value added in 2023-24. Only 13.7% from agriculture, means livestock, fisheries, forest, including. During the tenure of 10 years, 2014-15 to 2023-24, gross state domestic product of Telangana grew at 6.37% per annum. All India GDP grew at 5% only per annum. This is an exponential growth rate per annum. And per capita GSDP of Telangana grew at 5.82%, whereas all India grew at 3.53% only. In the same period, Telangana's agricultural sector showed growth of 8.2%, 8.2 or 8.3% per annum, whereas India's was 4.46 only. And Telangana's industrial sector grew at 5.87%. All India industrial sector grew at 4.3%. Telangana service sector grew at 6.3%. Indian service sector performed with a rate of 5.4%. Telangana GSVA grew at 6.24%. All India gross value added grew at 4.99%. It is clear that all three sectors of the economy, Telangana shows better performance in 10 years concomitantly in GSVP and gross state value added. Our fourth item is why agricultural sector could perform so well. Within agricultural sector, crop sector's share decreased from 52.9% to 48.0%, and as a consequence, livestock sector's share rose from 40.4 to 45.9%. As the overall agriculture sector is growing rapidly and livestock share goes up, it indicates qualitative food is demanded by the people. It is a generally observed fact that whenever incomes of people grow, the demand for the income elasticity demand for qualitative foods increase, particularly animal food type. As regards agrarian structure, based on NSS survey 2012, that is only the NSS report, only the authenticated report on rural land holdings. So this is only the last available source, so we took it. 32.5 lakh farmers were there with the average size of 1.3 hectares. But in India, it is 0.9 hectares. And there are 82% of small and marginal farmers who are operating land below 2 hectares only. In all India level, it was 89%. So this agriculture is very precarious with small holders. And so how the performance of Telangana could be in such a high level? This is a point to be observed. And as regards to tenancy, of course, just as in other states, it increased, but only 19% of tenant holdings are there, with 14% only leased in area in Telangana. The only important matter to be considered is when new Telangana was formed, the Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao wanted to curb the suicides that were going on in agriculture because of small holding and tenancy. Because in Telangana, what happened, the cropping pattern increased to about 26% in rice, from about 20% to 26% increased, and at least 36 to 40% of area is dedicated to cotton, that a cash crop. And when this cash crop is gone, the input expenditure will be high, and they are disease prone. So much is to be spent on chemical pesticides. This was kept in mind by Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Thus, he had taken some steps during his tenure of 10 years. And of course, new regime has come into existence. The agriculture sector in Telangana grew at 8.3%. It may be accounted for the following reasons. One is irrigation potential used, Raitu Bandhu scheme, which is input subsidy oriented, that was implemented, and Raitu Bima, means life insurance policy for farmers, was implemented. Simply, another fourth important item is Raitu crop loan waiver of 1 lakh rupees was done there. Though Government of India promised to double farmers' income by 2022, no concrete steps were taken and could not curb farmer suicides, despite 14 volumes were produced in Niti Ayog. Within crop sector of Telangana, food grains production increased from 72 lakh tons to 207 lakh tons between 2014-15 to 2022-23. That is 190% increase in food grain production. This is really a tremendous improvement, and the central government was not willing to procure for MSP at MSP prices. There was a problem. So such a huge production of paddy because of increase in irrigation. How they got into it, how irrigation was developed, we may come to know now. Irrigation, there are two agenda items here. One is Kaleswaran, a big lift irrigation project was implemented. It is very famous in the world also, such a big lift irrigation. And that it would provide much irrigation newly after 2014-15. And another aspect is Kakatiya mission. Means in Telangana area, when Kakatiya kings ruled it in the 11th century, they built so many tanks. But after Andhra Pradesh was formed in 1956, till 2014, many tanks were spoiled because of occupation or more silt formation in the tanks. So the government of Telangana wanted to take it as a development of tanks by removing silt and other things. About 27,600 tanks were improved. So this provided irrigation very much. So potential increased by 6.4 lakh hectares. Of course, TRS government claims that it was 30 lakh hectares. Their account is different. And next is a Raitu Bandhu scheme. And in Raitu Bandhu scheme, it was supposed to extend the investment subsidy of rupees 5,000 per acre for each season. If farmers grow crops in 2 seasons, they get rupees 10,000 per acre. This scheme was started in Kharif 2018. Telangana new government came into existence in 2014. By 2018, this program came into existence. Though Government of India wanted to double incomes of the farmers by 2022, it entered the shoe of Telangana government's this Raitu Bandhu scheme. Raitu Bandhu means the government is a relative of a farmer. Like that, central government also declared that it would provide rupees 6,000 per acre for small and marginal farmers, and that program was started in February 2000 and onwards. So the government of India also adopted the scheme planned by Telangana government. That policy of giving 6,000 is called PM Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana. And then Raitu Bima means it is a farmers group life insurance. The farmers who are in 18 to 59 years age. Any death, the year of the deceased person will get 5 lakh rupees within 10 days. So this is also very attractive for the farmers. And Raitu crop loan waiver up to 1 lakh rupees it was waived during 2014-19. Like another in those 5 years, 16,124 crores was waived off, benefiting 35.3 lakh farmers. And like that, sheep distribution and fisheries development forest development through Haritaharam, means green land and government of Telangana took special interest through Gram Panchayat to develop Haritaharam because it put fixed targets in so many villages through village panchayat administration. That is how the Haritaharam could develop into increase of forest coverage. And another important thing is supply of electricity 24/7 to farmers who cultivate land with borewells, and mostly cotton growers depend on such electricity use. Of course, sometimes food crops are also used in dry land areas through borewells. So electricity supply was also encouraging to the agriculture sector. Thus, agriculture could develop to such an extent. This is very important. And industrial sector, Telangana government took a special initiative called Telangana State Industrial Project Approval and Self-Certification System, TSI Pass. This is to provide speedy processing for issue of various licenses, clearances and certificates required for setting up of industrial undertakings. This was applauded and praised by Tatas and Birlas also of India, and so many foreign companies from outside India also appreciated, and so some industries came to Telangana. Actually, Hyderabad is a specific place. Even prior to the end of Nizam's rule in 1948, Hyderabad was a city with industries. What happened in Nizam's rule in Telangana area, the city Hyderabad was developed, but all rural areas, feudalism was existing through Jamindars. Jamindars had to give money to the Nizam rulers, and Jamindars used it to exploit through feudal exploitation in rural areas. So Hyderabad city was already developed due to Nizam's rule by 1948. And after 1956, when Andhra Pradesh was formed, so many capitalists from Andhra region, means now new Andhra Pradesh, from that area, several industrialists came to Hyderabad and established factories here, though pollution was increasing. Like that, Hyderabad in Telangana has a special role. Now the Telangana government wants to take care to get a decentralized industrialization. And in industrial sector, mining and quarrying, following the VKR house analysis, we are including mining and quarrying in industrial sector. And the second is the manufacturing sector and electricity related aspects also. These three are included in industrial sector, and this sector is growing at 5.9% in the last 10 years, whereas in India it was growing at 4.3%. As regards service sector also, and always the agricultural sector and the industrial sector development leads to service sector, as Khaldar spoke in his Cambridge lectures of 1967. Like that, it was happening historically, but very interestingly, service sector was developing most rapidly because of some ready-made technologies adopted in manufacturing sector. This sector grew, this service sector grew at 6.3%. And here, fire sector, fire means FIRE, finance, insurance, real estate sector. Within the industrial sector, this fire sector is occupying nearly 45%. So, in the newly formed state, the real estate, the financial services are also having very important place. And the fire sector alone has a share of 28% in GVA, gross value added of the state. For such a weightage in the fire sector, IT and IT enabled services were contributing. How? For example, we see the employment in 2014-15, ITES employment was 3,71,000, or let us say 3,72,000. By 2022-2023, the employment increased by 200%, reaching 9,06,000. So this is a tremendous improvement. And as regards to the IT exports, in 2014-15, it was 57,300 crores. By 2022-23, it increased to 2,41,300. So this is also increased by more than 3 times. This is very great achievement for research funds. And another important contribution of the newly formed state was decentralization of administration through formation of new districts. Very interestingly, in Telangana, by 2015 or so, only 13 districts were there. But in 2016, the new government brought another 18 new states, and in 2019, another 2 new districts, and not states. So totally 13 plus 20 new districts means now Telangana has 33 districts, and with this, lot of development prospects are there. This is a very interesting point. Decentralized development approach is very important, just as NTR had done in his 1984 policy, that all blocks were, suppose one block is there, that was divided into 3 mandals, and that way rural administration was decentralized, and it yielded good results. Like that, this increasing districts may also contribute to development of Telangana. Actually, real estate was booming in some of the headquarters of districts because already new collectorates were built by the new government. As regards another important item is welfare, our funds, our development. So the new government under K. Chandrasekhar Rao took up many welfare policies and schemes, and but in the name of freebies, somebody, Aswani Upadhyay, filed a petition in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said we want some more judges to deliver the judgment. But RBI Bulletin 2022 also talked about freebies, and it divided the welfare activities into freebies and non-freebies. And in freebies, AP was on the top, Punjab was on the second in the list of RBI. And the most important welfare scheme in Telangana was Mission Bhagiratha, which is an attempt to provide water to the villages up to the homes. So it is a big project costing 43,791 crores. It covered 20 lakh urban villages, urban households, and 80 lakh rural households, 2.32 lakh crore people, 2.32 crore people. And it provided 100 to 150 liters per capita per day from rural to metropolitan cities. And there are some other activities, for example, Asara pension to old, disabled, and widow. This is previous government was giving only 1,000 or so. The new government in the 10 years gave 2016 instead of 1,000. And then expenditure towards SC, STs increased very much, and 2-bedroom per household. So SC, ST development programs are also there, and 2-bedroom houses were also provided. That was a big plan, in fact, but they could provide only 53,300. And Dalita Bandhu scheme is another scheme providing 10 lakh rupees to a grantee so that a person may establish a small venture to provide some employment to fellow members, and personally the beneficiary may develop. For example, Dalita Bandhu was planned like that 2021. Then Swachha, just like Swachha Bharat, Swachha Telangana was also established. Haritaharam itself is a big project, and a Kanti Velugu means eye testing, and some glasses were provided to rural people and urban people also. And the development expenditure in Telangana was 77.4%, whereas in all India level it is 68.2%. And another important program introduced by the Chief Minister of previous regime was Kalyana Lakshmi Shadi Mubarak, means a poor family's girl getting married, that family will get 1 lakh, some 500 or so. So in this way, so many welfare activities contributed to the development of Telangana. This is my submission. Now I request Professor Koti Reddy garu to present his talk on public finance, I think.
Thank you. My presentation covers some important aspects such as situation at the time of formation of the state. And as Professor Venkateswarlu sir says, I will focus more on the public finances, and at the same time, the steps taken by government of Telangana to address the financial problems, and these issues will be covered in my lecture. Telangana came into being on the 2nd of June 2014 by passing the AP State Reorganization Bill in both the houses of Parliament. At the time of formation of the state lacked the infrastructure necessary to support a modern state, and the state was struggling to diversify the agriculture. So as a result, the agriculture production and productivity was disturbed in the Telangana region. And at the same time, the state was also lagging behind in terms of industrial development. So as a result, the state needed to find ways to promote industrial development and create jobs. 9 out of the 10 districts in the state were then covered under the backward regions grant fund. The Planning Commission in its 12th 5-year plan document categorized Khammam and Mahabubnagar districts as the most hungry districts. And agriculture and allied sectors, which supports nearly 46% of the state's population, were mired in distress, driving farmers to suicides. There was a severe power crisis at the time. The peak demand was shot by 2,700 megawatts, resulting in power cuts of 4 to 8 hours daily. It has forced the industrial units to operate only a few days in a week. The revenue growth potential of the state was very limited since majority of the districts were economically backward. Telangana region average growth rate was lower than the India's average growth of GDP. According to the National Council for Applied Economic Research, there was a substantial decline in the wages of agricultural laborers and annual income of SC/ST minorities because of the lower incomes, their status has not been improved. Thereby, the standard of living of these sections of the people has been declined. And agricultural laborers are more both in the rural and urban areas of Warangal, Mahabubnagar, and Nalgonda districts. In 2011-12, unemployment among the educated is registered at 8.2%. So this was the situation at the time of formation of the state. After the formation of the state, the economy has made rapid progress since 2004. The GSDP of Telangana, gross state domestic product of Telangana, raised from 5 lakh crore in 2014-15 to 14 lakh crore by 2023-24, and it is the measurement. It was measured at market price, GSDP at market price. The per capita income during the same period also rose from 1,24,104 rupees to 3,47,299 by 2023-24. The Telangana's per capita income has higher than India's per capita income since 2014, and it was 1.7 times the national average. As far as Telangana's contribution to India's GDP is concerned, Telangana has contributed 4% to India's GDP in 2014-15. Its share rose to 4.8% in 2021-22 and 4.9% in 2022-23 and further to 5% in 2023-24. So as a whole, we can say in the last decade, Telangana has contributed on an average 5% to India's gross state domestic product. It itself reflects the growing economic significance of Telangana and enhanced role in the national economy. So as far as the success mantra is concerned, see, some of the factors contributed for the rapid growth of Telangana since 2014. The agricultural sector, livestock, manufacturing, information technology, pharmaceuticals, these are the sectors contributed for the growth of Telangana economy in the last decade. And the Telangana economy was also driven by innovations, infrastructure development, and on the other hand, the government also has played a proactive role in supporting the industrialists and acting as a catalyst for growth. At the same time, the Telangana growth has been inclusive. The NFHS report places the state first in the equitable income distribution along with Tamil Nadu and Kerala. And at the same time, as far as the some more factors responsible for the rapid growth of Telangana is the worker participation rate. Telangana's worker participation rate is higher than the national worker participation rate. And we are aware the worker participation rate, clearly higher the worker participation rate, higher will be the economic activities. Thereby, as because of higher worker participation rate, economic activities have grown and it has contributed for higher growth in Telangana economy. The rural work participation in Telangana is also higher than national rural worker participation rate. At the same time, however, the urban worker participation rate in Telangana is lower than the national level. So, except in rural area, except in urban area, and in rural area, and as a whole, in the entire the worker participation rate, Telangana is ahead of the national average. And in Telangana, 10 blocks from various districts have been identified as aspirational. So it is expected to uplift these underdeveloped regions through focused and sustainable efforts. And here I also wanted to just interpret the urban development. The urban development also contributed for the speedy growth of the Telangana economy. And we are aware Hyderabad attracted global investments and talent, fostering the rapid economic growth and technological advancements. And the tied to cities such as the Warangal is emerging as a health, educational, and IT center. Nizamabad and Khammam are witnessing growth in agro-based industries and manufacturing. As far as some of the other different sectors are concerned, Professor Venkateswarlu sir has already mentioned about some of the demand side policies and supply side policies. As far as the demand side policies are concerned, the Dalita Bandhu program, Raitu Bandhu program, Kalyana Lakshmi, Shadi Mubarak, Asara pensions, sheep distribution. So these are the demand side policies. And the supply side policies are concerned, TS IPAS, TI Pride, TS Idea, TS Global Linker. These policies have acted as growth multipliers for the growth of Telangana economy, these policies have contributed for rise in productivity and output in Telangana economy. And the three sectors also have the, as far as when we compare with the 2014-15, the gross state value added of agriculture, industry, and service have shown remarkable progress. As far as the gross state value added of agriculture is concerned, it has been increased from 41,000 crores in 2014-15 to 1,05,000 crores by 2022-23. Gross state value added of industrial sector has been increased from 1,04,000 crores in 2014-15 to 2,35,000 crores by 2022-23. The gross state value added of the service sector has been increased from 2,86,000 crores to 7,63,358 crores. So it clearly reflects the Telangana economy was emerged as a service-oriented economy. As far as the Telangana's GSDP is concerned, the service sector, the contribution of service sector is more. On an average, the service sector is contributing 60% to gross state to domestic product of the Telangana economy. And at the same time, as far as the irrigation is concerned, the Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project, the total cost of the Kaleshwaram project is 80,000 crores, and it is expected to provide irrigation facilities for 45 lakh acres of land. The Mahatma Gandhi Kalvakurti lift irrigation scheme is concerned, and it was completed in 2015, and it is expected to provide irrigation facility for 2.91 lakh acres of land. J. Chokkarao Devadula lift irrigation scheme, it was completed in 2019 at a cost of 18,000 crores, and it provides irrigation facilities to 12 lakh acres in a drought-prone area, drought-prone districts of Warangal, Nalgonda, and Khammam districts. So as far as the total agriculture sector is concerned, net area sown has been raised in the last decade. The food grain production also has been increased in the last decade. Now, I would like to focus more on the evaluation of all the government policies. Here I will interpret the public policy, the public finance also. As far as the evaluating the performance of any state government is concerned, for example, growth, management, and welfare of the people must be considered while evaluating the state of any state government. So the crucial metrics for the analysis are, for example, if you want to evaluate the performance of the either Telangana economy or Punjab economy or any economy, we employ these metrics. Telangana's financial situation. Number 2, ease of establishing new industries and business. Number 3, social indicators for poor people's condition. So with these 3 indicators, we can evaluate the performance of the state government. Now, as far as the Telangana state government is concerned, if you observe the revenue receipts of the Telangana economy. First, just I would like to focus on the financial situation of Telangana economy. So from this, just we will come to know the fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, and what are the computed expenditures like that. As far as the revenue receipts are concerned, the state owned tax revenue occupies a prominent place as far as the revenue receipts. The state owned tax revenue accounted for more than 70% of the revenue receipts of the Telangana government. And the non-tax revenue in revenue receipts raised from 6% in 2020-21 to 6.9% in 2020-21-22. And as far as in the recent days also, even when KCR was the chief minister, he has also blamed the central government with regard to the devolution of central taxes and grants. And at the same time, the present chief minister, Mr. Revanth Reddy, is also demanding the center for higher grant in aid and higher tax devolution also. But as far as the entire revenue receipts are concerned, the proportion of central taxes and grants accounted for 20 to 21% only. So out of the total revenue receipts, the state own tax revenue alone accounted for 70%, non-tax revenues accounted for 6%, and central taxes and grants accounted for nearly 21% in 2021. Earlier it was, we have seen in some years 25%, 26% like that. On an average, we can say 25%, 26% like that. At the same time, the revenue receipts to GSDP ratio, revenue receipts to state income, that if you just calculate that ratio, the revenue receipts to GSDP ratio was registered at 11.3% in 2022-23. But actually, revenue receipts to GSDP ratio is lower in Telangana as compared with the number of general states. So it clearly reflects that the state government should focus more on raising its revenue receipts, particularly focusing on some of the state-owned taxes, and it can come up with some other new taxes also. Like that, there is a need to improve its own tax revenue as far as the revenue receipts are concerned. And state gross sales GST, sales tax, state excise, motor vehicle tax, stamps and registration are the major taxes of the state government. The next one, as far as the revenue expenditure is concerned, revenue expenditure is growing substantially since 2014-15. Though the revenue expenditure has grown substantially, the state government has experienced a revenue surplus since 2014-15. As far as the revenue surplus is concerned, from 2014-15 to 2018-19, the Telangana government has experienced a revenue surplus. But since 2019-20, the Telangana government has witnessed the revenue deficit. In 2020-21, the revenue deficit was recorded at high due to this COVID waves like that. At the time, second wave of COVID, during that time, the revenue expenditure of the Telangana state government has been raised. In 2020-21, the revenue deficit was recorded at high, more than 20,000 crores, and again it decreased to 9,000 crores in 2021-22. So in the last decade, except for 3 or 4 years, in the remaining 7 years, the Telangana has experienced revenue surplus only. At the same time, the committed expenditure, not only Telangana economy, most of the state governments were experiencing the same problem, that is growing committed expenditure. The committed expenditure is in the form of the interest payments, pensions, wages and salaries. As far as the Telangana state government is concerned, the committed expenditure as a proportion of committed expenditure in the revenue receipts was recorded at approximately 50%, 49% some years, 47, like that we observe. So the share of committed expenditure in revenue receipts, committed expenditure alone was recorded at approximately 50%. Also clearly reflect the need to reduce the committed expenditure, because of rising committed expenditure, the capital expenditure will get affected. The state government used to say the proportion of capital expenditure in the total budget expenditure would be 25%, but that figures were not realized, and we have not seen the 25% of capital expenditure from the total expenditure from any budget. We have not observed like that. So the capital expenditure was recorded at very low. It would be lower than 25% of the total expenditure. So on the other hand, as far as the capital expenditure is concerned, recently, as we told, some of the irrigation projects, see the 25% also mostly the irrigation projects, Panchayat Raj and rural development, and education, other health, and in these sectors we will find this kind of expenditure. And at the same time, the fiscal deficit is concerned, very important indicator. So excess of expenditure over the receipts is nothing but the total expenditure, is nothing but the fiscal deficit. The fiscal deficit has grown in the recent years. The fiscal deficit at the time of formation of the state was 1.9% of GSDP, 1.9% only. And by the time we know that FRBM Act also came into existence, and the Telangana government has fulfilled, after the formation of the state, the Telangana government has fulfilled the main elements of FRBM Act as far as the fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, and total debt is concerned. As far as the FRBM Act is concerned, the fiscal deficit should not exceed 3% of the GSDP. At the same time, the state should achieve the revenue surplus. Already in the combined state has achieved the revenue surplus. At the same time, the total debt of the state government should not exceed 25% of the GSDP. But the Telangana government has fulfilled all the elements of the FRBM Act after the formation of the state. Even in 2014-15 also, the fiscal deficit was recorded at 1.9% of GSDP. By 2022-23, the fiscal deficit of the state government has reached to 2.5%. But unofficially, definitely it would be more, as the new government has come up with the new schemes, thereby the borrowings will be more. See, the new government also is searching for mobilizing the loans, is focused more on mobilizing loans from the open market. Thereby, in future, we can find the more loans that can be raised by the government, may raise more loans from the open market operations. And in the recent budget also, 2024-25, the government has expressed, state government has expressed its opinion to borrow 5,000 crores from the central government. Like that, the state government may expect more loans, more grants, and at the same time, mobilizing more, it may mobilize more resources from the open market. So as a result, in future, the outstanding debt of the state government may rise. At the same time, as far as the outstanding debt of the Telangana is concerned, in 2014-15, the outstanding debt of Telangana was recorded at 14.4% of GSDP, 14%. By 2023-24, it has reached to 27.8%, 27.8%. Actually, during the COVID period, the central government has allowed the state governments to borrow beyond the limit that was mentioned, that was prescribed in the FRBM Act. So as a result, it has facilitated Telangana to borrow money from open market. At the same time, as a result, the total outstanding debt of Telangana has been raised. But however, the Telangana maintains a lower debt burden as compared with Punjab. As far as the Punjab is concerned, the outstanding debt of Punjab was recorded at 46.4%, while it was 40.2% for West Bengal. So the Telangana is maintaining lowest debt burden, and at the same time, the lowest burden as compared with these two states, that is Punjab and West Bengal, and Telangana's liabilities are higher than Maharashtra and Gujarat. So it also clearly reflects the need for prudent fiscal management to ensure sustainable economic growth and stability. And as far as the success stories of different state governments, as far as the imposition of taxes is concerned, so as I mentioned, mostly economists also used to suggest to the central state governments and even to the central government also to focus more on the mobilization of revenue on its own, that is additional tax revenue. So the state governments, if you observe all the 29 state governments, the state governments have been taking various initiatives ranging from increasing the property tax. Some states governments have increased the property tax. Some state governments have raised the power tariff, and some state governments announced new excise duty policies. In the recent days, we have seen the new excise duty policy implemented in some of the states, and some states have come up with the privatization policy, the privatization of public sector enterprises. So these are the possible steps that some of the state governments have adopted in the recent days to mobilize the additional tax revenue. For example, as far as the Assam is concerned, Assam has adopted the liquidation scheme for payment of arrears. Haryana, the one-time scheme for settlement of old value-added tax duties. So settlement of old value added taxes. At the same time, Assam and Kerala imposed green tax to discourage the old vehicles. So by that, they're expecting some additional revenue to the state government. And Uttar Pradesh has come up with a new liquor policy, increasing the license fee, renewal fee, processing fee, and registration fee across various categories of liquor and distilleries. Likewise, many state governments have made efforts towards privatizing state public sector enterprises. Even if you take even Telangana also, we had more than 80 state public sector enterprises, of which only 12 to 13 have reported their accounts. Out of these 12 to 13 also, only 6 are earning profits and the remaining enterprises are experiencing losses. So here it clearly reflects that there is a need to privatize some of the public sector enterprises, and many state governments have made these efforts towards privatizing state public sector enterprises. And the own tax revenues of the state governments, in order to improve the own tax revenues of the state government, because already the sales tax was more, most of the governments are imposing more sales tax, and the stamp duties are also there, registration duty is also there. So they have to innovate some of the new taxes that are to be introduced in order to, based on the situation prevailing in that particular state, there is a need to innovate some of the new taxes. Sir, I have time, sir. Venkateswarlu, sir.
Please, you can, I think it is over, I think, by now. You can conclude.
Okay. Sir. So, though, see, the Telangana's economic performance is better than many states, it has not been translated into better outcomes in measures related to women empowerment and child development. This also should be considered. They have to focus more on women development and child development. And it has been a tough journey for Telangana to meet the targets for the welfare and development works, because the new state government has made a number of promises. For that, it requires a huge amount of funds, and already they have started to mobilize resources from the open market, and they are requesting the central government to provide loans, and they are also demanding for grants from the central government. So, though the state financial health improved after second wave of COVID, but now the Telangana government is starving of funds when it required it the most. So, due to cut imposed on the market borrowing and shortfall in grants from the center, there will be a severe strain on the Telangana government finances in the coming days. And a number of schemes came into force. Of the total budget of 2.75 lakh crore in 2014-15, the government is required to mobilize 20% of the financial requirement through open market only. So in 2024-25 budget, they have proposed 2.75 lakh crore. The total expenditure was proposed like that. So in order to achieve that targeted expenditure, they are required to mobilize 25% of the finance through open market loans only. And government also proposed to obtain 5,000 crore through loans from the central government. So finally, just I would like to say, there will be a severe strain on the state finances in the coming days. So as a result, the state government should focus more on achieving debt sustainability, and how debt sustainability can be achieved by the state governments. Here, see, my time is completed. Otherwise, that it should be considered a separate topic. If I am given an opportunity next time, that I will focus more on debt sustainability. And I thank the Professor Charan Singh, the CEO of this foundation, and Professor Venkateswarlu garu for giving this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Koti Reddy garu. Now I request Venkatanarayana garu to proceed with his presentation.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, linking with the two speakers. Yes, one thing I think the issue concerned with the state finances that connecting with the Professor Koti Reddy garu, is that the off-budget borrowings, that is the one of the concerned, I mean, affecting the budgets of state government of Telangana. That is one issue I think I just wanted to bring forth here. And going back to my area of, I mean, what I should speak, I start with some of the things that has contributed to the whatever the kind of relatively better performance that Telangana is demonstrating as compared with the other states in terms of state income related indicators and kind of some of the challenges, because the sustainability of the thing is matter of concern. I mean, how long it will go given the other conditions. And okay, so one of the thing we should actually mention here is that the demographic transition that Telangana state has, I mean, that is part of the, when it was part of the combined Andhra Pradesh, that demographic transition that state has witnessed, combined Andhra Pradesh, that has a greater role to play here, whatever Telangana is now, because the fertility transition that was actually witnessed during the late 80s to, I mean, particularly in 90s, that has a very good contribution, because as the population growth declines, you have resources requirement for the population per person. If you have a that is constant, then the requirement of resources will be, I mean, that requirement will be reduced, and more focused kind of growth, whatever, I mean, state government is spending, that has facilitated. That's where we can see that the kind of educational development and the health parameters that state government, the state of Telangana, which we can see that has that due to that demographic transition, that factor we have to consider. Okay, so even in terms of employment also, the what we call the dependency ratio. Okay, dependency ratio in terms of the working age population to the other dependent age population below 15 years of age, and then population above 65 years of age. If we take that as a ratio of the population for the working age, that is 15 to 64, that is one of the lowest in Telangana, one of the lowest. And the working age population, obviously, correspondingly, one of the highest. So we have more number of people in work and less number of people of the work. So that has one achievement. The other thing, actually, whether there is a consistency with the kind of state income and the factor incomes that are actually realized for the workforce. I mean, workforce. And that when I was looking into that, even that is also consistent in Telangana. The average monthly wages or average daily wages for casual laborers, average monthly wages for the say regular salaried, and then PLFS is giving now for the self-employed also the monthly gross earnings. If you look into that, the averages or means of these across states, Telangana's performance is consistent with its gross, I mean, the GSDP per capita or NSDP per capita. So state's performance is one of the best in terms of its ranking stands at less than, I mean, below 10 or 5 to 6 kind of range. So that means the per person earning is relatively on line with its per capita income, state income. Okay, so that is one thing. The other one is that because per capita income is one of the highest, if you look into the given the context of state, given its the population working work participation rate. Work participation rate already Professor Koti Reddy has mentioned, one of the highest in India, especially in case of women, it is the highest. The participation rate of women is one of highest in Telangana. If you can look into that ILO HD employment report, you can see that the relative performance of Telangana in terms of participation rates, it is the highest in case of women, but not in the case of course, male. But overall, it is one of the highest. So that means that if average earnings of the persons working in the state, it is one of the highest, and also participation rate is also one of the highest, means you can see that translated these two into, into the state per capita income definitely will be one of the highest because of these two. Participation rate is high, and then average earnings per factor incomes. Okay, what I call factor income. That is the other thing, the factor that we can contribute to why, how Telangana is able to achieve the kind of performance that we are actually seeing. Okay, so one factor, what happened in 90s and early 2000s is that the kind of vibrancy that the combined AP and then of course as a part of Telangana as a region of Telangana experience, it was that the kind of social movements and the kind of the credit markets, especially microcredit, and as a result, there is a lot of money supply, the money circulation getting into the rural economy. That has actually that effect on the aggregate demand of the economy, rural economy, especially, that has a multiplier effect as well. So that aggregate demand getting into the connecting with the Keynesian economics, that the expanding that increase in aggregate demand, we can see that effect in the expansion of the economy, because a lot of goods and services, demand for the goods and services increases, thereby the industrial growth. Maybe that's what we can see. Okay, that's what we can see in the Telangana economy. The other one is the growth of the Telangana being the hub of the financial sector, as well as IT sector and the pharmaceutical sector. These are the key service sector subsectors which has very good, relatively better performance in terms of their growth, expansion, and then kind of employment generation that they are able to do. Okay, so these are the some of the actually growth promoting kind of situation. Demographic transition itself has a certain role, as well as the other agriculture sectors. When we look into the agriculture sector, the foremost is that the stabilizing the energy supply, that is especially electricity supply, has a greater role in stabilizing the agrarian economy. We could see that especially in 90s, the kind of crisis, agrarian crisis that Telangana economy has experienced, but now it is no longer such kind of crisis. We could see one thing is that kind of irrigation facilities that are expanded, and the kind of energy requirement that is met for the agriculture sector. These are the things: infrastructure development, energy supply, all these are facilitated the stabilization of the agriculture incomes and agrarian economy. That's where we can see that especially in, of course, one of the problem with the agrarian economy of Telangana now is that the increasing monocropping system, especially paddy dependent. Earlier there was kind of diversity, but now we could see that the paddy is the most, most cultivated crop in Telangana. But this has actually increased the incomes for the farmers actually. So because of irrigation, energy, and then kind of policy of state procurement, you can see that Telangana is the paddy procurement. The extent of paddy procurement in Telangana is one of the highest in the country. Now we can see that Telangana has grown to that extent when it was not that prominent before state formation, but after state formation, we can see that Telangana has the kind of prominence in being one of the highest state, highest in terms of the paddy procurement. Okay, So the kind of stabilized kind of incomes due to all these infrastructure, energy and all these things, we could see that because in especially 60% of the employment in Telangana, 60% of the employment workforce is engaged in what we call the regular salaried, no, self-employed. Among that, major part of the self-employed are engaged in agriculture related activities. Okay, so these people, they have a kind of experiencing certain stabilized kind of incomes in terms of giving support price and all these things. Yeah, that is one. The other thing coming to the whether all these, the income rise has translated into kind of human development related aspects in the dimensions of human development related and the poverty. So poverty, I think, I mean, whatever now we have a kind of analysis, especially Niti Aayog, MPDI, we don't have now updated kind of income poverty estimates, although we have that recent consumer expenditure survey has come up, but we didn't have. But otherwise, we have some other alternative indicators concerning the multidimensional poverty. If you see the report, okay, relatively, Telangana has, according to the latest Niti Aayog report, according, I mean, for the year 2021 year, that based on the NFHS survey, Telangana, the headcount ratio of multidimensional poverty is around 6%, less than 6%. It is one of the lowest in the country. Okay, one of the lowest across the states in India. It was 13% earlier, according to that NFHS 2015-16. Now it has reduced down to the 5%, 6%, less than 6%, 5 to 6%. Okay, so that means this one way that kind of the economic growth, we can see that that is translated into kind of poverty reduction. That's what we can we could see. The other aspect is that the kind of other human development related indicators, still there is a concern with the human development performance of Telangana, because although in economic dimension it is doing better in terms of whatever earlier speakers have talked about the economic growth and per capita income performance, but the health and education, especially education, concern with Telangana is that it is doing very much better. Its performance is very good in terms of percentage of the children, especially in the school age children attending schools. If you take the 6 to 14 age children, almost 99% of the children in the state are attending. Okay, it is one of the highest. Of course, most of the states in India are more than 90% of the children in 6 to 14 are attending. India itself, Indian average is 95 to 96%. Telangana's achievement is that almost 99% of it, it's children of 6 to 14 age attending. And the global norm, according to the global norm, that 6 to 14% is like our constitutional mandate. All the children in this age group must be in school. That is the constitutional mandate. But whereas global norm says that all the children in 6 to 17 years age group must be in school, and they complete by the year they turn into 18, they must complete 12 years of schooling. So that's where even though it is lagging, still 92-93% of that is children 6 to 6 to 17 years of children. Also 95% of children in the state are attending. So education is much better. Even in higher education, if you look into higher education, the gross enrollment, according to that ASHE, All India Survey of Higher Education, if you look into the almost 40%, the GR of Telangana is 40%, which is almost 12 to 13% higher than the national average. It is one of the highest among the Indian states. If you see that, it is standing next to Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Of course, all the southern states, they are doing very well in terms of the performance in higher education. Okay, so yeah. So education wise, the current performance of Telangana is better, but it is in terms of human development indicators, it is not a, is that one of the indicator earlier, of course, now it is not considered that indicator. Earlier, we take the literacy rate as one of the education dimension of human development. But in Telangana, the concern is that literacy rate in Telangana is one of the lowest among all the Indian states. Even it is even lower than Bihar states, what we call Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan. Because one should take this aspect with a pinch of salt, because this literacy rate is an accumulated one affected by the past educational development of the state, because it's a older cohorts who were not able to attend school earlier during their school age. Okay, so they don't get any second chance to attend their schools, so they will continue to remain illiterate. Okay, so all those who are at older cohorts illiteracy level remain continue to be same. So Telangana, when it was part of Hyderabad state before 1948, state itself, Hyderabad state itself was one of the backward in terms of educational development. Even Telangana as a region in Andhra, it was one of the backward in terms of educational development. All that educational development, whatever we are seeing now in Telangana, is it has begun its kind of turnaround since the 1990s. So with the thanks to all these interventions called this district primary education program and SSA, and of course now Samagra Shiksha, all these have actually played a greater role in the education development of Telangana. Okay, so now we are able to see that the kind of educational development that Telangana has achieved is that of the last 3 decades only. So earlier it didn't have a good history of educational development in Telangana. Okay, so that's where we can see that the literacy rate of Telangana still remains one of the lowest in across states in India. Okay, but current attendance rates, when you look into, that is one of the highest. It's in some cases it is the highest. And also in educational infrastructure, if you look into especially higher education related infrastructure, especially number of institutions that they providing the higher education, the colleges per lakh population, that is the standard indicators that ASHE reports. It is the second highest next to Karnataka. The number of institutions per lakh population of the colleges, that is the 18 to 23 years age, that is the standard indicators. You can see that the state's performance in terms of educational institutions, especially colleges and all these higher education institutions. That is okay. In terms of employment, as I have already referred, the other aspect of, I mean, being one of the highest in terms of work participation rate, the other concern is that in some aspects, the state has witnessing being one of the highest in terms of the unemployment rate. Unemployment rate observed to be one of the highest, especially among the female of youth. I mean, young females. It is found to be one of the highest in India, among the states in India, because the educational development, it is one of the factor, driving factor could be that already the female participation rates, even if, I mean, if you take the state has historical precedences of having highest participation rates for females. Now, the females that are getting into, I mean, looking for opportunities in the labor market are educated females. Okay. So educated females looking into a suitable, better jobs, not interested in kind of jobs available if they are not matching to their skills or education levels. So they are remaining looking for still better jobs. Maybe that is one of the reasons. The kind of educational development that has witnessed in the state, especially in case of girls' education, female education. So that is actually driving the high female unemployment. Okay. Yeah. I think, is it there? Is something more I can go? Venkateswarlu?
Yeah, but
I'll stop. Already we are
couple of minutes.
yeah, 5:30. I mean,
Yeah.
our scheduled time is 5:30. Okay.
Couple of minutes.
So, yes, I mean, in terms of employment related indicators, unemployment is the concern for the state of Telangana. In terms of the other one, what we were talking about is that initially I was mentioning about the sustainability aspect. If you look into the kind of challenges that the Telangana is going to face, one is that connecting with the demographic transition, maybe because now we have the increase in working ages. Kind of we feel like a demographic dividend, but the subsequently Telangana state also has to bear the burden of increasing older age. That is I mean coming up very soon. I mean the increasing percentage of the older age. Okay, so that state has to. The other one is that related to agriculture sector is that the monocropping and then relying more on the groundwater resources. Of course, I mean, the one of the aspects I think I missed to mention is that the yield rate, especially in paddy, I think, I mean, it is not actually well referred, but it seems as we calculated, the yield rate of paddy per acre seems to be per hectare, it is the highest. It seems to be highest in India. The Telangana is actually registering a yield rate of 5,000 kilos per hectare. I think even Punjab and Haryana also doesn't have such kind of high yield rate per paddy. Okay, so that is one thing. But the at this rate of agriculture growth and the kind of resource exploitation in terms of the groundwater resources exploitation. Of course, there are lift irrigation, all these things. Lift irrigation also depends upon a lot of energy resources, but the sustainability of all these, how long it will be there and how long it will sustain is a matter of concern. And dealing with the employability, I mean, kind of issues related to employability of graduates, because now the educational development of Telangana is now it is actually touching upon its what is that its potential. Okay, most of the school age children, they are attending and now they are moving towards the higher education. We can see that supply of graduates and then their employability kind of situation. Of course, all over India there is a problem of employability, but now I mean having supplying more number of graduates, even if it is I mean kind of diversified kind of situation, because Telangana has a better diversified kind of education in terms of STEM courses and other conventional courses. We can see that the percentage of the graduates from STEM courses is reasonably better, higher than the all India average and others. But still even in STEM courses also there is a problem of employability now. So how to deal with that kind of skills that are required, matching with the job market requirement and industry requirements. That is one kind of issue it has to deal with. The other one is, of course, I mean, human development related indicators. Of course, it has translated to some extent, except the literacy. health related indicators, still there are, of course, some of the indicators, it is doing better in terms of maternal mortality rate. It is one of the lowest. Of course, that's a good thing. But still, the other kind of issue is that the malnourishment, undernourishment, especially, and a percentage of the undernourished children still found to be one of the, I mean, it's not that lower. I mean, state performance in these indicators, whatever you take, that three dimensions of undernourishment, its performance is not that good. But other kind of the healthcare facilities, access to healthcare facilities in terms of the percentage of deliveries at the institutional kind of assistance, and the what we call antenatal care, it is doing better. Kind of economic development or growth, it is appear to be translating, but there are challenges attached with this kind of development that state is witnessing. Okay, with this, I think I can stop.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Venkatanarayana garu.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. So you conclude, I think.
can we conclude our any question answer session is this, sir?
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
And I'm sure if others want to ask, they're welcome to. You will
Sure.
extend some time for them. So my question is, I'm really impressed with the presentations that have been made. Very, very informative and very rigorous, I must say. Quick question, because there has been a discussion on Punjab, and this is in the series while we are doing a compare and contrast. Now, the yield on paddy is higher than that in Punjab and Haryana. And you know, Punjab and Haryana are doing it at the cost of their water table.
Yes.
So my question to you would be, the yield in Telangana, is it affecting the water table? Is it organic or lots of fertilizer is being used? And are the varieties, the water guzzling, the water that they take, guzzling that they do in Punjab is massive, 6,000 to 7,000 liters for 1 kg of rice. Is it the same in Telangana, and is the Telangana irrigation water system, water table able to sustain that? That's one question. And the other question was on industry. We all know how Hyderabad has developed into a great hub and has attracted labor from across the country. Actually, I should say it has attracted labor from across the world to come and work in Hyderabad.
Yes.
Now, are there any highlights that which government did what to attract that industrialization in such a big way? What type of incentives were provided to the industry from India and abroad to come and establish their unit in Hyderabad?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So regarding that agriculture paddy cultivation, yes, the one of the other thing I think none of us could bring to this table is that the kind of the system and Telangana is witnessing is that seed hub. Lot of seed cultivation is going on in Telangana. So these research kind of things actually bringing one way that is also helping that research and development in terms of seed cultivation, developing a high yielding varieties, that is fine. And also the kind of high yield that is the Telangana is witnessing is that a large portion of the fields that are brought under the paddy cultivation are new lands. I mean, earlier they were cultivated for some other purpose, but now they are brought into the paddy cultivation. The kind of that being earlier which didn't experience that kind of the new lands could might have been giving better yields than otherwise the continued kind of situation. Water requirement, there are variety of things in terms of cultivation practices now that are going on with the kind of resources, water resources available. Mostly, of course, a large part of that paddy cultivation in Telangana is depending on the groundwater resources. Even in many areas now, they are not using. I mean, Telangana was largely depending upon earlier tank irrigation. There was not like canal irrigation was very limited. Okay. Even in combined Andhra Pradesh, it was not developed to that canal irrigation, largely depending on. But now the groundwater resources, exploitation of groundwater resources have increased. Even in some cases, they are not actually using tank water. Tank water they are keeping as a what is that buffer kind of resources, and they are using this. And also there are certain different kinds of practices is that earlier we had in Telangana region, we used to have kind of SRI, system of rice intensification cultivation practices, that has actually that kind of practices wherever it was adopted, that doesn't require the kind of water quantity. Okay, that SRI practices is to reduce the amount of water quantity. There are other kinds of practices without transplantation system. They just broadcast and then they drain wet kind of water, giving water to the paddy fields. These kind of practices actually reducing the amount of water quantity that is required for it. But still, more or less, the water quantity required for the paddy cultivation is very high, exploiting the groundwater resources. But because of some of the policies that government has given, especially that Professor Venkateswarlu has mentioned, under Mission Kakatiya, the tanks were rejuvenated, and these tanks were actually used for the some of the tanks were connected with the lift irrigation schemes, and these tanks actually giving a buffer to the groundwater resources. The water of the tank was not used, but water is kept in the tank, but below the tank, the bores are using, bore wells are using, I mean, through pumping that paddy fields are irrigated. So that kind of system is going on, but the sustainability of this has to be actually investigated into. I think so far I didn't come across this kind of how it is actually minimizing the, as a whole, state as a whole, as minimizing the water requirement, and only some kind of field studies, because SRI, I was involved in working with the Oxford University. We could observe that under SRI system, the water quantity required has minimized, and then other kind of benefits, paddy yield also, it was better than the otherwise the flooded kind of cultivation, all these things. So yeah, that's what I can respond. I mean, that much I can respond, Saranjingji. Yeah, the other one, I think, industry, yes. Industry, one of the factor that has driven the industrial development is that I think the 90s economic reforms, and then kind of the state government that the then state government has taken initiatives for the kind of the business development, industrial development. I don't say, because industry, manufacturing sector, Telangana and Andhra, they are lagging behind in manufacturing sector development. Okay, growth of manufacturing sector, it is the percentage, its contribution to the GDP, its contribution to the employment, they are lagging behind many other states in India, particularly when we compared with our neighboring Tamil Nadu. It's very distinctively lower than the Tamil Nadu. But the service sector growth, especially during that time, lot of service sector growth has happened because government has given lot of incentives for the industries that are, business organizations, industries that are coming to the state, especially the land grants given to the. You can see that Hyderabad, many industries were taken that time, during that time, taken the land grants allotted to these industrial organizations. And so the good thing is that the subsequent governments, they didn't disgrace, rather they continue to promote that kind of policy. I mean, industrial development policy, especially related to the service sector, they continue to promote that. Even during the combined Andhra Pradesh, early 2000s, and then till state division and the Telangana government, I mean, especially after state formation, Telangana government has taken even more kind of measures for the kind of development, industrial parks and all these things. We can see that now more number of industrial parks and industrial estates and okay. So I think, yeah, certain things.
Anything from Professor Koti garu?
Sir, to promote industrialization, sir has mentioned some of the incentives. 100% stamp duty reimbursement is also given, sir.
Okay.
100% stamp duty
Yes,
reimbursement
yes.
and
Tax
special provisions for small and medium enterprises, and 25% land cost rebate of up to 10 lakh, and assistance to women entrepreneurs also.
Yes.
For women entrepreneurs also, subsidy element is there, and land rebate, land cost rebate is also there.
Yes.
At the same time, the government has come up with an industrial policy that was driven by the slogan in Telangana: innovate, incubate, and incorporate. And industrial parks have been set up. Industrial parks, special economic zones were also identified. SEZ, logistic facilities have been provided. So business-friendly infrastructure such as industrial parks, SEZ, logistic facilities, all these amenities have propelled the state to become attractive investment destination. So, like that, see, in addition to that we have mentioned some of the supply side policies also. Each policy will have its own objective, and under each policy, different incentives are given. And if you need any information on that further, just we will provide that, sir.
Okay,
We
sir.
have mentioned the TS IPAS, T Pride, TS Idea, TS Global Linker. All these things have acted as growth multipliers by improving the productivity and output. These are the supply side policies, and all these policies have contributed for the development of industrial sector, and incentives offered under different policies are different. However, that government has provided different incentives for promoting industrialization.
Yes.
Hello,
Yeah.
is it audible to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Myself, Dr. Vijay Kumar. So I want to raise a question to Professor Venkateswarlu that now presently government of Telangana is waiving up to 2 lakhs loans to the farmers. Is it justifiable? Because most of the farmers, I visited the villages, they said that they are taking the loans for again loans, fresh loans. After the wave is over, they are taking the loans and spending for unproductive purposes. Like unproductive purposes they are spending. The presently government waived some 1 lakh to 1.5 lakh. After that, again they are taking fresh loans. What I observed when I visited the villages, they said to me that they told me that we want to take again fresh loans. What we will do? I will perform the marriages of my daughter, and for something other unproductive purpose they want to use it. And most of the farmers who are paying regularly, they are not benefited. Injustice is done to them who are paying regularly. But those who are defaulters, they are not paying. Again, what they do, what they are doing, they are going for fresh loans and spending for not for practical purpose. They are spending for unproductive purpose. Will you see justified the present waiving system the government is maintaining or following? That is my question. I think you have understood my question.
Understood.
Sir, it is a very good question. Historically, we have been observing the same, sir. See, the farmers raising loans from the commercial banks, mostly rich farmers are getting benefited. So instead of investing the same on agriculture, they are investing on non-agriculture purpose. It is one of the reasons for which the real estate sector has grown. And not only real estate, in different activities they are investing. Only, see, the tenant farmers are not getting benefited.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually, the rich farmers are not the actual cultivators, sir. If you go to any village, if you just look into the actual picture. From that, you will definitely will find, sir.
Sir,
Okay.
that's
Out
why.
of the total cultivators, the actual part that out of the total cultivators means including the tenant cultivators, the actual landholders lots will be very lesser. They are not
Good.
investing the same on agriculture, diverting this amount to non-agriculture purposes. So for
That is-
that, there should be some restrictions, sir.
Yeah.
Mostly tenant farmers have to be protected by the further state governments have to come up with different laws, and they have to adopt different procedures and methods to protect the tenant farmers.
Yeah, I want to respond to this,
Uh,
Koti garu. And another point Vijay Kumar found that was a real problem, because whenever the elections are coming after 5 years, the party which is anxious to get power, they are saying that we come to power, you go and bring loans now, so that as soon as we come to power, we can waive off the loan. This type of encouragement comes under really a freebies, but how to investigate that is a very, very difficult problem, because the populace, I mean, the government, whenever wants it popularity to come to power, they are giving attractions like this to go and take loan, and then we can waive off after coming to power. Chandrababu Naidu told this, Revanth Reddy told this, but unfortunately, Jagan in 2014 did not give that demand. I don't know. So like that, what happened? Jagan could not win in 2014. Otherwise, he would have won. Even if he wanted to waive off 1 lakh loan, he would have won. But unfortunately, he gave up and he lost. So this is the idea of so-called freebies or whatever we can make call. But it is very difficult to identify them. As regards tenants, Koti Reddy garu, we
Sir.
in the Commission of Agricultural Development of Andhra Pradesh, under Professor R. Radhakrishna were investigating. It is highly difficult to identify tenant, because every season they are changing sometimes if necessary. And tenants are also not wanting that, because, and another point is the Hakka committee was there. Actually, in Kerala, there was a practice that Gram Panchayat will look into it. On paper, legally, there is no tenancy allowed. Because if a tenancy is allowed, after 12 years, 6 years, the tenant may get some rights. That is the reason in Kerala, Gram Panchayats took up it as a venture, and they take the guarantee that the owner may not lose rights of on land, and the tenant should get land for tilling. And Hakka committee also recommended such things. We considered in that commission report, and we recommended to something under R. Radhakrishna sir. But I think highly problematic to identify tenants, because if we season wise we are changing the tenants, it is very difficult to give benefits of a loan waiver or input subsidy, etc., etc.
I suggest one this thing, sir. May I suggest one this thing for this loan waiving, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of waiving loan, better to provide quality seeds and inputs to the farmers in physical form. So we better to provide. Waiving of loans is not a good system. So actually, those who are cultivating, for those farmers only, we should provide the better seeds, manures, and all those things, material to the shops, the notified shops of the government, so that, and also provide MSP, but not giving all these things freely and waiving of loans. This is nonsense things, and at the cost of the taxpayers' money, money is being wasted, and we are having shortage of money for basic needs. But the governments are not identifying all these things, simply giving freely everything and waiving of the loans is very bad. Actually, waiving loans, instead of that, just now I told you, giving quality seeds, manures, and everything to notified government shops. That is the best solution, I think so. What do you say? MSB, providing MSB.
I agree with you, but it is highly difficult so long as the aspiring parties, when before elections, give promises. So this happens. We cannot stop it unless even Supreme Court appointed a 3-bench committee to go into freebies, etc. That is the reason. What happened? Supreme Court brought to the notice. Once upon a time, midday meals was questioned as a freebie by Telangana government when color TVs were given by the Telangana government promises. And they said that we cannot do. Midday meals was universalized then. So once upon a time, it was seen as a freebie, midday meals. Now it is being seen as a regular throughout all states. It is being implemented. So this is a question difficult for even. Thank you, sir. Can we close it now, sir? I think. Sir, any question? You want?
Can I ask one question?
Please.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, tell.
Okay. So my question is, I came to know about little bit about Telangana. One of the professor from some of the state university, I am not able to remember the name of the state university. He was telling that there is 18 department but 16 faculty. So each department almost less than one faculty. Is it the reality in Telangana? Can you update on this thing?
Yes, this is Mahato. Okay. Actually, it is the case across the country. Most of the state universities across the country are actually suffering with this kind of situation, lack of regular faculty, and that kind of intensity is more in case of Telangana. Yes, definitely it is high in case of Telangana. Many of the departments in universities, they are having very least number of regular faculty and run by the, of course, I mean, it's not that they are not, there is no teaching faculty at all, but the thing is that they are not regular faculty. Many of them are contractual kind of basis. They are actually teaching them. Okay. So the teaching activity is going on, but thing is that the kind of regular faculty, otherwise they would have done better in terms of providing better quality of education. That is lacking. So that's where actually state universities performance, that's why we can see that except even NIRF ranking, except Usman University, many of we have almost 24 state university level education institutions in Telangana, but we have only Usman University, but that is also doing better in terms of science and technology related education that could get a place in top 100 in the country. But other universities, they don't have any kind of thing. So that problem is there, the quality of it. That's why I mentioned the employability is an issue because of all these things. Okay, there are institutions are there, but the kind of requirement, the teaching faculty, I mean, especially the kind of regular teaching faculty, that is missing. Okay, university level especially it is the case. Yeah.
So regarding this, whether the state government is stopping for recruitment or the vice chancellors are not able to recruit, not able to conduct the recruitment, because central universities, there is no stopping of recruitment process. Maybe some of the university vice chancellor are not conducting, just passing the time.
Yeah, got the point. I just the problem here is that the state government has identified the number of posts to be filled. I mean, because we are working on that actually. The government, all the universities have reported their vacancies. It came around 1,000 posts altogether across all universities in Telangana. So government has given clearances, but the vice chancellors are not ready to actually give notifications because there is a lot of things attached with the legal issues. Okay, they are afraid even if we give the notifications, we won't be able to clear this notification because there will be corresponding kind of legal issues may arise. Somebody will go to court and all these things. And that's why Telangana government, along with the Telangana State Council for Higher Education, they are planning for, instead of giving it to the recruitment thing to the individual universities, they wanted to have a centralized process that as Orissa government and then other Bihar government actually doing. I mean, there it is in practice, the recruitment, centralized kind of recruitment. Of course, recently the Orissa government are also facing legal issue with the Supreme Court. Somebody has gone to the Supreme Court about the last recruitment. Telangana government was actually processing that. Earlier government has moved that. I mean, the bill was sent to what we call governor. That time, I think governor didn't approve that kind of initiative. Maybe, I don't know, I mean, present government, what is the kind of their stand on that? Okay. So
Okay,
maybe.
okay. Yeah, thank you very much for the deep answer.
Yes, Chairman, I think now it is you.
Yeah, can we say,
Closing.
can we close the session, sir?
Sure, it's totally up to you. If you are comfortable, we are happy to close it. It's already 6.
No question is coming, so you can
Yeah.
close.
Sure. There are a couple of questions in the chat box, but I think they have been handled very well. So I thank you, Professor Venkateswarlu, for chairing the session. And I want to thank panelists, Professor Reddy and Professor Motkuri, for spending time and sharing with us all the thoughts on different aspects of the Telangana economy. According to me, this has been a very rich session, lots of learning and lots of new things that we need to think through, especially the one on fiscal. I thought was very illuminating that there are gaps up there. On freebies, I want to thank you for bringing it out that at one point of time, midday meal was a freebie. And today it is a regular item in across the country and serving a very important purpose in getting children to the school. So I think there's a very good learning session that we have had on PEDI, on industrialization. And as a chair, I thought you brought in a very good context by saying how the state was formed and since its inception, how things have been happening and the origin of Hyderabad and the role that Hyderabad has played in the Telangana economy. Good amount of learning. And as I mentioned that we are attempting a contrast between a state which is falling down on the ranking and a state which is rising up in the ranking. This was a perfect context and a very good discussion. It's taken us longer than we had anticipated, but I think the topic was very rich and the speakers had so much to share with each one of us. So I want to thank the participants. Once again, I want to thank the chair and the speakers for being with us. Next week, we are doing on Karnataka economy, and we'll probably have a very similar experience of learning from each other. As I mentioned, while we're always looking for Europe and America to learn, there is so much to learn for us within our country. We are a continent-sized country, and today's webinar has shown that there is again a lot to learn amongst ourselves. So I want to thank each one of you, the speakers, the chair, and the participants for being with us for nearly 2 hours.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
And see you next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.